I'm going to jump back to one of the things that you said in that, which was confidence. We know, a lot of us, generally you can see somebody that's confident, you could emulate them, couldn't you? And if you're an actor, you can behave in a confident way. But another one that I find really interesting, and one that certainly applied to my life, that in certain areas of my life, certainly now around property, I feel really confident. I've got to that stage now. Are there times when I have a bit of imposter syndrome? Are there times when I feel a bit, ooh, absolutely. But I keep pushing through it. And then I'll find there are other times in my life where I'll suddenly be being what I would consider myself to be being a little bit like not at all confident. So even in one person, can't we? We can know exactly how to be confident, but we still may only choose one particular area. So as you said, it's not that we even don't know how to do it or don't know how to copy somebody else. We've actually got it within ourselves to be able to be confident the whole time. And I find that, really, really incredible. And to reiterate this sort of knowing doing gap, and this is where, sort of mentorship and coaching. So I've got a fantastic lady at the moment. She's got a 6-month-old baby. So, really young. She's got so much going on, and she's going off and doing all of these things. And the things she's doing are great. She's, a lot of things, and they're good individually. They're great things. But actually, this is, you're really good at remembering these, and I'm working very hard to become really good at remembering all these kind of quotes. But she's doing lots of things, but she needs to do those things in a certain way. And that is where we had this kind of conversation. I was kind of like, look, you're doing all these things, but actually if you did it in this way, it's going to be much quicker. We're going to get there faster, and we're going to go in that way. So she had the knowledge. She knew what she was going to do. She was pretty confident, actually. She was doing really, really well. But equally, it was about doing those things in the right way. And so, I found that sort of, really, really incredible. So can you explain a little bit more about this kind of conscious, subconscious? I know you talk about the sort of the stick man as well. Would this be a good time to jump into that?
Yeah, I think so. So I know you've probably dreamt about this image. So if you're listening, if you're listening or watching this right now, there's a little model of the mind that I've got shown up on the screen, and the top circle that represents the mind, right? And the mind is divided into two. There's a horizontal line down the middle of the mind, and the top half of the mind, that's the conscious thinking mind. That's your intellectual mind. That's where we pile the books up. That's where you're using 2 to 4% of your power. That's where we become top heavy. That's where the shelf help sits. And the subconscious, this is the emotional mind. I said earlier, this is your power center. It's the feeling part of your personality. It's where 96 to 98% of what you do comes from. And it's what's happening in the subconscious emotional mind that determines what this thing, the body, does. Now, up here, connected to your conscious mind, is 5 antennae. And those are the 5 physical senses. So we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, right? That helps us correspond with the outside world. And it's connected to your conscious mind. So we can look at something and understand it and register it here. So we can read something, we can memorize it, but that does not necessarily mean we're going to do it, right? It's what's happening here. If that kind of just introduces us to the mind, Emma, whoever's watching this and maybe seeing this for the first time, there's 2 parts of your mind, and this is what you've got to understand if we're really going to get a shift in results, but not only a shift in results, but a permanent shift in results. Because I can tell you, once you internalize confidence, it's magical. Like it's it's so beautiful when you can show up and just, be so comfortable and calm and confident within yourself that nothing or no one sets you off. Like it doesn't. And I can give your listeners, Emma, simple suggestion on how to internalize confidence. In this book, in Think and Grow Rich, there is a self-confidence formula. There's actually a formula for self-confidence. I've got it up here. I've got it framed. And gosh, I read that statement, and it's a full A4 page. I've probably read it every day, 200, 300 days. Like I've just been so consistent with that bugger, Emma, that it just becomes a part of you. You become confident, you show up in that world. But once again, you understand how the mind works, right? So it goes against the grain of everything we've ever been taught, is to read that self-confidence formula over and 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 over every day for 200, 390 days, however long. That goes against the grain of what we've been taught. We've been taught you read something, you can repeat it, you understand it, you've got it. No. Are you doing it? So why I kept reading that self-confidence formula, because am I showing up in the outside world as a confident individual? Do I show up confidently in terms of my behavior, my energy, my action? Do I show up? If I don't, then I got to keep reading that thing. I got to keep reading it until that idea within the subconscious paradigm shifts, because it's that constant spaced repetition that internalizes it. So, once again, understanding the mind, understanding how it works, and understanding then the modalities which shifts ideas in there, and then sticking with it. So, that's where the coaching, the accountability comes in terms of keeping us on track.
So that made me giggle a little bit, Lee, knowing you very well. So I think we can struggle at the early stages of this mindset journey to understand this kind of repetition thing. Yeah. So one of the things that obviously Lee's mentioned about, and in fairness, I've got my Think and Grow Rich in my bag just over here, and my bookmark is in the self-confidence formula. And so one of the things is this, as you say, this repetition. So Lee will make us write, let's say, that down for 30 days. And you just can't really imagine. And it's not until you do something like this that you understand the full impact and sort of the sort of formula that Lee gives you. There's this huge amount of repetition in it. But with this, so you're writing it down, and you would have thought, wouldn't you, if it's like 30 days, so you're writing it down, and it's kind of like, and often, certainly at the beginning, it's a bit of a rush. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, it's 11:30 at night, and I said I would do it today, and now I've got to do it, and I'm tired. So you're there writing it, and so the next day you're thinking, right, I'm going to do it at lunchtime. So then you're feeling, yeah, I'm doing it at lunchtime, and then so you start sort of getting into that rhythm. And so you're thinking less about actually writing it and more potentially about what's actually in there. And then you suddenly get to day 15, and you're thinking, is this the same piece that I've been copying each day? It literally can't be. I don't remember these 3 sentences or something. And that is so incredible, because you're a different person each time, each day. You may be feeling a different way or whatever. And it's just amazing how you spot things. Even on the 30th day, you kind of think, oh, and there've been times I remember where I've actually said to you, Lee, I thought at the beginning I understood what this meant. And now I really want to question exactly what it is saying. And yeah, so I've found that hilarious. Those moments of really understanding why you repeat, and why Bob Proctor basically read that one book every day for, what was it,
61 years.
Yeah, over 60 years. I mean, that's got to be saying something. And he, you know, if you could even be a tiny portion of the type of man he became, well, that would be really amazing. So look, Lee, I'm very much aware that of the time, and I know I really want people to be able to find out a little bit more about how perhaps they can come and spend a bit more time with you. So how can we just sort of bring this to a conclusion?
So, I mean, you know, Emma, we've just really scraped on these, you know, the surface on these ideas around paradigm and programming. And if you're listening to this and you want to go a bit deeper, I've got a webinar. I'm running a webinar on Thursday at 9 a.m. UK. It's 11 a.m. South African time. And it's called How to Clear the Blocks to Your Abundance. But when we talk in abundance, we're talking an abundance of health, an abundance of confidence, you know, of whatever it is that you moving towards. If it's a financial goal or a business goal, a property goal, abundance in that area. So how to clear that the blocks to your abundance. But what we're going to go much deeper into, so like I said, Emma and I have scraped on these ideas. We're going to go much deeper into the paradigm. I'm going to show you from a graphical perspective how it works. And yeah, hopefully really shake you up and give you some tools and strategies on how to gain momentum as you move into 2025 and set yourself up for success. Because I promise you, if you keep doing what you've always been doing, you always get what you've always been getting in terms of results. So if we want different results in 2025, and I know the year is not done yet, but some of us are planning already for the next year. If we want different results, we've got to operate with a different model. We've got to install a new subconscious paradigm. And I'd like to invite you, join us for this webinar on Thursday, and we'll go a bit deeper with these ideas.
Absolutely. And I have to say, it's these webinars, guys, really do take this opportunity to feed yourself this knowledge. It is literally so powerful. So there's going to be a huge number of you sat there thinking, oh, another year, and I just haven't achieved what I wanted to. And I can honestly say that my time sat with Lee and all the learnings have been so incredibly powerful. I can't believe where I am right now. I feel so fortunate, so honored to be where I am. And I'm not even hardly where I want to be, but I'm so much further than I was 5 years ago, Lee, when you called me up in the middle of a rainy field and I was trying to organize stuff. And as always, I was really disorganized and everything was just a disaster. To where I am today and the things that are happening at the moment, I'm having to really kind of take a deep breath to accept all these great things. Now, are there challenges along the way? Absolutely. Are there going to be loads more challenges? Absolutely. But it has been, yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But it has been this constant, I call it consistent persistence and persistent consistency, because you just have to keep going. And there's been many a time where you just think, really? You know, you look up the sky, really? Is this really how it is? Can I just not have a break? And I used to really sit there and blame whoever it was that was potentially running my life. And it wasn't until I was able to accept complete responsibility. Now, I accept that responsibility, but I don't always know exactly how that's going to pan out. I don't know necessarily how to change that, but I'm constantly working from within. And actually, one of the things I listened to it was in one of these things where it talks about, oh, I know where it is. I'm sure it was another thing that just jumped out at me. I'm listening to the condensed narration of that Earl Nightingale reads of Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about, I'm sure it was in there, that we only use literally a minuscule portion of our brain.
I think the figure he uses 2 to 5%, and that was based on a lot of different studies.
Yeah. So it's incredibly powerful. So what I'm coming around to is, if you've got an opportunity to spend time with somebody like Lee, please do jump on it, because it really is so powerful. And I think at this time of year, especially when we're all thinking, really, I seem to have not, and quite often some of us, they've not even gone forward, that you actually feel like you've gone a bit backwards. So don't have that. How many more years do you want to go through that, or do you want to break that cycle? Do you want to make that change? So definitely. So it's the,
if I can just comment, just one small comment on that, Emma. Like, you're talking about breaking the cycle, this belief system which we've been getting into, the paradigm. There's such a simple idea that if you are told, or you write this every day over and over, you repeat it to yourself, you affirm it. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you quit. Like, that's such a simple statement. And it's obvious. Failing doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you quit. Or there's no such thing as failure. We can only learn and grow. Those are such simple statements. But think, if you tell yourself that 100 times, if you rewrite it 100 times in the morning, 100 times in the evening, you do that for 2 weeks, you're going to embed in your subconscious mind this idea that failing doesn't make me a failure. It's part of the process. I'm only a failure when I quit. So nobody can call me a failure unless I throw the towel in. And it will make you so hard-headed, so stubborn and persistent. You'll just keep going in the face of adversity. And, anybody who's just starting their property journey, you're learning all these strategies. You got to knock on estate agents' doors and speak to landlords or investors. And, it's just very uncomfortable in the beginning. Like, it's going to test you. You're going to have to develop new skills, make new connections. But I promise you, if you just keep going, and this is where the mindset comes in, if you program with the right ideas and you just keep going, eventually the sky will clear. And that's my hope for you. And that's why I'd like to invite you to join us on Thursday, so I can help you, clear the sky, install those ideas that will really empower you and move you through whatever you're navigating.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Lee. So we will put a link underneath wherever it is that you're listening, because we're sort of across the board going live today. And of course, if you've got any questions and you're listening to this on the replay, then do put your questions in, and we will endeavour to get those answered for you. So again, thanks so much to Lee. I am I am going to be on with you on Thursday as well, to really benefit from your fantastic teachings. And thank you so much for your time today.
Emma, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, guys. See you soon.